Okay, everybody, this is my spoiler review of the Rehearsal Season 2, Episode 3, Pilot's Code. So, every time you watch an episode of the show, you're just excited right at the beginning of what is Nathan going to do next. And it starts here where we're seeing a couple reenacting this moment in 2011 when Osama bin Laden was killed, and they're with this dog. And we learn that Nathan wants to run the riskier experiments on animals first before he does on the pilots themselves. So the reason we're seeing this couple with this dog is that they cloned their dog who passed, whose name was Achilles. I love little moments of humor Nathan's able to blend into. These moments are also blowing your mind at the same time. Like Nathan just picking up one of the dogs and saying, "I never kissed a clone before." And the thing you see, and you hear this a lot about a lot of cloning, is that they all look like the original dog, but they don't share the same personalities. So Nathan figures that is because the original dog had a different upbringing. They raised the clone dogs in Colorado. The original dog was raised in San Jose in a cramped apartment. This is all setting up what Nathan's going to do in the second half of this episode and him going through what this clone dog of Zeus is about to go through in his own way. I love this moment where they're sitting on the couch together, him and the couple, and the wife, Monique, says, "Back then we couldn't afford to clone," and the husband awkwardly taps her on the back like, "Don't say that." And I love Nathan's like, "What was that?" And he just says he was rubbing her back. It was so funny he kept that in. So Nathan's theory here is that if you could have a clone of a dog live the exact life of the original dog, experience the exact same upbringing, will the personality of the new dog match as well? So you get to see something that's very like season 1 of the Rehearsal, where they're put in a recreation of someone's apartment, and he brings in all the actors who are going to play Monique. And I love they have Monique here just talking with the actors who are going to play her and really opening up and talking about the struggle she had with her husband, about him not being ready for kids, and this will be brought up by Nathan later on. But you see how much the actors really get into character here and learn even the emotional cues. And you're seeing this clone of the dog of Achilles, Zeus. He's living with the actors that are around the clock in this set. And at one point, they show Nathan had a man catching the San Jose air and transporting to LA where they were filming, so it can really give the dog the vibe like he was in San Jose at the time. He has the smell out there with the guy spraying the air towards the dog. And you see the actors in the cars are period appropriate. And then he has these tech guys walk by being upset about Steve Jobs passing. And the best part is you see a Jared from Subway bus station ad. That really had me crying my eyes out. But we'll see that Monique is checking in weekly to see if Zeus is becoming more like Achilles by having a fake diabetic attack. And you see Zeus isn't budging, so then they try it with the Monique actress, and it still doesn't care at all. And it's great that they show Zeus is just taking a poop during it. So funny how funny the show is without saying anything too in the visuals they give you. So now those emotional tensions will come out between the actors about having kids and the husband working late, and it's so adorable seeing this dog taking all this in and observing it. And of course Nathan has them go the next level where she invites her husband to the bedroom and he's like, "Wait, we're out of condom." And then he's like, "You know what, I'm going with the guys to see Hangover Part 2, which would have come out at that time." So good. But what they notice, and it actually makes Monique emotional, is that Zeus actually starts to learn from the cats like Achilles used to. And he starts crawling on the top of the couch a certain way like the cats. And it's great when they have the real Monique and her husband just watching the actors of themselves go to their day-to-day. It's always just such a funny thing to see. Now this is where the episode's going to just completely flip and where my mind was starting to get blown. So he shows us again Jeff the pilot. We learn more about him, stuff they cut out from the previous episode. But he had said that in his Tinder bio, he said no T-girls. And Nathan's reaction to this is just priceless. But he's talking about how so many times these captains would make the atmosphere for the first officer opinion unwelcome. But there was one captain who seemed entirely different when it came to this, and that was Sully. This is the famous pilot who saved a flight after the flight was hit by a flock of birds. And in this intense moment of Sully's life, he actually asked his first officer if he had any ideas. That is what Nathan's pointing out here, that this is something in all these other situations these captains would never do. So Nathan thinks that if every pilot could have this instinct and personality of a Sully, the entire aviation problem would vanish overnight. And you see he's reading Sully's book while they're making this giant set for him, and he's taking notes in the book, and you're like, where is Nathan going with this? And he highlights the passage in the book, my entire life led me safely to that river where the plane had landed. So what does Nathan do? He shaves his entire body. And he's like, if a personality transfer can work on a dog, maybe, just maybe, it can work on a human being. And Nathan is then revealed that he's in a diaper and he's in an oversized set to make him feel like he is a baby. And he's gonna live someone's entire life from baby to present day. Even if just the tiniest bit of Sully could become a part of him, he says it would all be worth it. So at this moment, I'm crying my eyes out already. Like, I was laughing so hard, and I was also just in awe of what was I actually watching. And then this giant puppet comes in of the mom. And it's great seeing the puppeteers just dressed all in black so they hide themselves from Nathan doing it. And that Nathan's being lifted on these strings, and they reenact a diaper change. And while this is happening, Nathan's saying how hard it is to think like a baby, knowing what he already knows. He's like, so I try not to think about the fact that I was a 41-year-old man and did my best to be present in the moment while he is sucking on the breast of an oversized puppet. I literally was in tears at this moment. I am not exaggerating. And he says, I was playing the long game here and I just had to trust the process. After all, this did work on a dog. So right here, I was standing up and clapping. Like, I can't tell you how amazing this is to me, this whole sequence, and how the show is just blowing my mind already. And it just keeps topping itself somehow. And I'm like, how are not more people talking about this? And I hope this is the episode that, like, the world should be talking about. That's how insane this is and unique it is and brilliant. So as the episode goes on, as he gets older, now we see the mom and dad are on stilts. So there's still the appearance of being bigger than him. So he has a feeling of being a young boy. And we see the moment he fed his sister little stones, and the part where he's playing with the toy, and the part where Nathan's sitting on the bed playing with the plane toy had me just, I at this point, I had to pause it because I was laughing so hard. But that's not all. Like, you think it's going to peak there and it doesn't. So he talks about this moment where it was a pivotal moment in Sully's life where he took a flight with his crush, Carol. So Nathan, of course, reenacts this and goes to the plane simulator. And Nathan says it's clear he was aroused by the way Sully's writing about this. He learned to compartmentalize. He had to balance his sexual desires with the safety of the flight. So Nathan was too uncomfortable to get aroused with a real actress next to him. So he then brings in a robot version of her, which had me dead. And he has the crew leave and just leave cameras up on tripods. So then he pulls out his laptop in front of him and masturbates in the plane while flying it. And what topped this off for me is him saying this and explaining what was going on with that robot of Carol just moving her head. I couldn't breathe. And he says over this, just as I had assumed Sully had done, I was able to ignore my erection in order to fly. Unfrickin' real. Like, it just, I don't even have anything to say. Now we see Nathan going through Sully's life and he's unlearning his southern accent. And then he goes into how Sully kept everything inside. So this is leading into the behavior we've seen the pilots in the show, already shown how they're so to themselves and quiet. And he says, as Sully, I wanted to talk about feelings, but everything I knew was telling me I couldn't. And then he mentions how Sully said he never cried. He found ways to cope and deal with it. And he says this multiple times in his book. And now Nathan brings up the pilot he met who told him pilots are afraid to talk because of fear of getting in trouble with the FAA. And this is a huge detail. And in all of Nathan's research, this is really eye-opening and important because it's showing you why these pilots are so afraid to talk about their feelings and why they're not these open individuals, because they're always walking on eggshells and worried that they're going to lose their job because if they tell the wrong thing to, let's say, a doctor, a therapist, that could get them losing and revoked their license. So Nathan will then invent situations that Sully, he believes, could have been in, like rejecting going to a therapist when he really wanted to, and he rejects the pilots doing coke, which was so funny. But he really starts highlighting how Sully started mentioning music when his father died, and also exactly when the iPod was released. So after his father's death, the iPod keeps being brought up in this book constantly. And one band he mentions more than any other is Evanescence. So when it shows Nathan laying in the hotel bed listening to Evanescence as Sully, and he's in those hotel flip-flops, so funny. But he's listening to Bring Me to Life. Now, Nathan says the songwriter describes it's a song that's a cry for help. It's about no longer hiding your true self, as imperfect as it may be. So he says, is it possible that Evanescence taught Sully it's okay to not be perfect and ask for help just in time for his fateful flight? So this is the whole message of the episode too, and the problem Nathan has found about pilots. That this episode is a cry for help for pilots. And it's shown in that montage he shows later on about all the pilots who talked to him and that they didn't even want to talk about aviation. They wanted to talk about themselves, and that they actually wanted to keep talking to Nathan and follow up with him, and that they were, out of anything he's done, the ones that reach out the most to keep coming on. So he's showing you that. He's showing you that these people are repressed people that aren't able to talk about their feelings, and it's making them suffer in their work and on their job. So what Nathan shows is that in the transcript of Sully's flight, there is 23 seconds of silence before Sully asks his co-pilot for help. Sully's iPod was found in the flooded cockpit, and Nathan says the chorus to Bring Me to Life just happens to be 23 seconds long. So this is the mind-blowing moment, and you see now it all makes sense what Nathan's going for, and that he believes Sully was listening to the chorus of Bring Me to Life before he did the possible, which is actually asking for help as a pilot. And I love he actually reenacts a moment afterwards with the flight, telling his co-pilot, not to mention the iPod. And Nathan has this great narration where he says, we all want pilots to be perfect, but maybe in some instances we want them to know they are not. And what's perfect about such a smart, wise line is that Nathan's able to cut it to a moment that just makes you cry again visually, where he's back as Sully at the set of The Couple, and he's looking in, and he says, it doesn't mean you're a failure just because you can't get a dog to react to a diabetic attack after 4 straight months of trying. And it's amazing because it's just Nathan admitting that part of the test that didn't work and his flaw really in that experiment. And that's what's so brilliant about Nathan, is how well he is at looking at himself and sharing that. So he says, maybe every captain needs to find their own evanescence. No easy path because of the FAA. And this one he shows that montage I was talking about. He says, I'm not sure what it means, but it's interesting. And it's him as Sully again walking into the therapy office. So showing what he imagines that Sully would end up eventually be able to do now because of music, and learning how much that made him the man he wanted to be and not being afraid anymore. So it's showing you what Nathan also wants these pilots to be able to do and not be afraid of doing. And that's a big change that needs to happen. So you were wondering when he's going to do the pilot episode and get into their psychology, and he does it here. He does it brilliantly. It's, I will say, the funniest thing I've ever witnessed on television. And I think that it is Nathan's best work to date. This specific episode, this season, has been his best work to date as a whole, because the last 2 I gave a 10. I'm giving this another 10. I'd give it a 12 out of 10 if I could. It is incredible. I mean, I'll never forget this. I'm still thinking about this episode constantly since I've seen it throughout the day. So, wow. Brilliant. Just bravo to Nathan Fielder, and bravo to the writers writing with him, too. He's got a big team, it seems like, with him, and this is just so well done, and I think more people need to be talking about this. I mean, to show this situation with the pilots so genuinely and just with such good research and making such a good argument, but also making you laugh so hard at the same time is really just incredible. I mean, what more can you want? And the reason I'm giving all 10s is there's just nothing I see wrong with any of these episodes. It's just perfection, amazing. So that's why more people need to be talking about this. So please spread the word about this show. It deserves it. And please make sure to subscribe so you don't miss one of my reviews of The Rehearsal. I'm also doing The Handmaid's Tale at the moment. I also do celebrity interviews and other shows coming up, and movies as well. So please let me know your thought of this episode. I need to talk to people about this. Please comment. And I'll see you next time.